Hey, welcome back to Martin Next Dimension, and today we're doing 3 more video reviews of OWL3D Live's 2D to 3D conversion. And first up out the bat is a fun game we call Divinity. From the original 1990s, early 90s, it came out after the original Diablo. Kind of a mix between Diablo and an RPG, and Baldur's Gate, honestly, it's a good mix. As you can see, the benefit of OWL3D's 2D to live conversion is the cinematics are 3D also. Even if I had a driver that could make this game 3D, the movies are never 3D. So that's a really big plus, because this looks great. It's converting really, really well. Setting up Divinity to work, though, is a huge pain in the ass, and the only thing that probably knocks it down from you've got to use a special tool that you can download from online to even get it running normal as it is. So after doing all that, then you have to get it to work borderless full screen so that you can OWL3D will work with it, because it won't trigger if it's set to full screen. When you do, though, it works well. Just know that the setup is a huge pain in the ass. So when it comes to Flux, the Flux is kind of a random hit or miss, and this is one of the ones where I think I would, if I'm gonna play this, set up reshade and set up a really light CRT shade, something like CRT Ness or CRT Lots. It prevents the flux. It'll minimize the flux. So you can see in this screen that looks fantastic, right? There's depth, you can select your characters, all that fun stuff. But these are fairly low resolution, so you're going to have a limitation of how great it's going to look as far as the detail on the characters. But the depth is really, really a nice addition. And this is the first game that really wowed me. You can see I just lost by 3D. This is where that shader would probably make it stay. It gets better, but when it's not working, it's a bummer. But you can see when it's working, to see this dungeon in full 3D is fantastic. Really just kind of blows you away. So I highly recommend you put a reshade shader on it. Set it to like a CRT. Something that gives scan lines works. So you might have to experiment. And also sometimes what I'll do is I'll use a border shader, which creates black bars around the sides. And I'll create like a 32 pixel wide border all the way around. That helps sometimes too, because sometimes it can't handle the whole screen. But if you put those borders, it gives it better context. But if you see this, look how great the depth is. So when the depth works, it's phenomenal. It really changes the vibe of the game entirely. There is quite a bit of flux back and forth, but like I said, I think you can mitigate that. And it's mostly it's just fighting, figuring out what to do, and I think those shaders really help. I wish I had recorded this with it, but alas, here we are. Accuracy, I'm going to say, is good, but not great, because sometimes the accuracy is a little off and wild. Also, you can see here, it doesn't like Fog of War. That actually makes it do worse for Flux. Once the Fog of War is cleared out, it's a lot better. And you rarely run into Fog of War later in the game, so I'm not even sure what the purpose of having it here was. But you can see on that roof was a little weird for a second. There are small accuracy errors here and there, but nothing to the point where I wouldn't want to do it. So I covered the 3D depth being pretty amazing. When it works, it works. Accuracy, glitches. The only thing is the flux, I think, for the most part. I hadn't really had any other problems. The cursor works fine. So that's okay. Value. I think the value is high. Really high. This is the kind of game where there's a whole world for you to see in a true 3D. It's glorious. I love it. The fact that you could do this with such an old game blows my mind, honestly. This was the first thing that I saw where I'm just like, this is unbelievable. And saw the potential of the technology. I didn't think 2D to 3D live conversion was ever going to be like this, much less this soon. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like in the future. Just great. So I love this scene too. It also looks really good. So I'm going to hop around here and show some different areas. And I'll talk about them as I talk about the pros and cons. I love this scene. I love this scene. This snake thing pops so hard. It is great. That is a perfect case use example of 2D to 3D live conversion for 2D stuff. It is crazy how good that looks. Just unbelievable. Small accuracy issues you can see in the depth of the ground and stuff like that, but in general, the entrance to that dungeon is so stunning. I really love it. Really love it too much. Like geek out love it level. So for pros, the depth when it works is just knocks your socks off. The accuracy is pretty high. The cons are the stability sometimes is a little icky, right? So like this is great 3D all around, but the fluxing, if you put a reshade shader on there, it would probably eliminate that. Then it would make this straight up S tier for sure. Unfortunately, I can't give it an S tier right now. So, oh, this one's I'm going to show you. There's a I saved solely because I saw this dragon skeleton and I wanted to see that in 3D. I love it. That's fantastic. You can see the tombs are really nice looking. They got those clean sides and shapes. Makes it very easy for OWL3D to convert it. And it looks fantastic. To see things pop out of the wall and things sitting on the ground is sublime. I think it's an amazing use case for this. I went back and I installed the CRT GEOM shader, and it has resolved almost all the flux issues. There's very little fluxing back and forth. If you use a different geometry shader, it doesn't work. It still works, but it doesn't quite work as well. This is the one I got to work the best of the ones I've tried. And it is very stable now. You still have your occasional accuracy issues, but the flux itself is pretty much stable. And so it's even more playable than it was before. Originally, I would have said that this game is a B tier because of the flux and then the difficulty of the install. But I think now I'm going to go ahead and rate this one up as A tier. It can't be S, because S is like easy to install and just really, really good. But A, because it's not easy to install. Otherwise, I think it adds so much to the game to see it in 3D. And it's so fun to see these corridors and tombs and everything else show in 3D that this is the one that blew me away and thought this is something. This is truly something that could make some games new again for a lot of people. So Divinity is one of my favorite in OWL3D. Second, all right, for the next game, we're doing FNAF World, which is Five Nights at Freddy's World. It was a free game by the creator of FNAF. That I guess, I don't know, you can download if you want. I had it because my son played it for a while, and so I thought, why not try it? Unfortunately, I was unable to get Reshade to work at all in order to try to put a CRT shader on it. Just hint, it's got some flux going on. Setup otherwise is normal. The flux is, and in these scenes here, you can see it's very slight in these scenes. It's the overworld and this. Anytime there's speech, it just erratically shoots back and forth, which makes it kind of really hard to look at, honestly. The overworld, as we'll see here in a little bit, is even worse. It kind of just turns on and off randomly. When it works, the 3D is kind of nice. And there's not really accuracy issues. There's very minor accuracy stuff on the overworld map with how it renders the buildings depending if something's in front of it or not. But overall, like these combat scenes, they stay mostly 3D. So there is a decent value to that. Unfortunately, there's no joystick support. Joystick. Did I say joystick? No controller support. You can tell how old I am. No controller support. So you're stuck with the mouse, and the mouse has that glitch where duplicates, and it's very annoying to try to play the game with the mouse like 5 places on the screen. As you can see on this overworld, it turns on and off depending on what location you're at, and that just, it's too jarring. It's not the worst I've seen in these, but it's definitely off-putting when you're trying to play. But the combat scenes seem to stay nice. So overall, I'd say the value of the 3D to the game is pretty decent. If it could be stabilized, that would be nicer. Unfortunately, the pros being that nice 3D and the cons being it turning on and off depending on if like there's text boxes or where you stand in the overworld. That con overcomes the 3D in my opinion. That's really, so when I go to think about what do I want to rate this game from a 3D perspective, because I am no interest in playing this, I would rate this as C tier, which is really only if you really are into the game and you really want to. C tier. It's the lowest tier of maybe somebody would want to play this game with 3D. If it could be stabilized, if I could figure out a way to get a shader on it, maybe it would be B tier then, right? Like a recommended play it this way. But unfortunately for now, it's C tier because it just won't stabilize. If I ever figure out how, which I will look again in the future, or if there's an update to OWL3D, I will try this game again. Not for me, but I just know there are people out there who do like it. So, Five Nights at Freddy could add something, I think. But for now, only if you're a diehard. That's my opinion on it. And for our last game, we're going to do Galaxy Champions TV, which is pretty much a take on the Smash TV genre of dual stick shooting. This game is pretty easy to set up. Just need to set it to window mode and then use borderless gaming to make it full screen, which I didn't do here, sorry. I would say that I recommend you use a reshade shader if you want to clean up what little flux there is. There's none in these combat sections. These combat sections are spot on, but occasionally in the cutscenes and stuff you'll lose, it'll flux off back to 2D. So a scanline shader, a real light one, would actually match this game anyways, so it would make sense. The flux, like I said, only shows up like on the planet select screen and a couple other random places, but not while you're playing the game right here. This is rock solid 3D. The 3D quality is good. Like, I love how you feel like you're looking down into a box. It sticks this way the whole time you play the game. The characters all feel like they're coming off the screen some, so they aren't at the floor level. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure that I play better this way. Like, almost like having that physical presence makes it easier for me to play the game. I don't know how to describe it. I did way better than this time than I ever did, and I feel like I had a better sense of the space, I guess is a good way to put it. For accuracy is pretty great, right? I mean, it's not like a complex game, but it nails what it does pretty well. All these rooms look like a box. That's great. So outside the fluxing issue, the accuracy is fantastic, and I think that between that and the depth really creates a really nice vibe playing this game. There's no overt glitches that I know of, other than that you'll have to use borderless gaming to make the window mode fill the whole screen if you want to do that. But that's not really a glitch, that's just kind of some of these games are like that. The value, I'm going to put the value high, because I really like what having depth in this game added to it. It just made it feel a little extra special. It's that, you know, a lot of 3D nerds go on about how it just hits different and how it changes, just how, well, that's what this is to me. You know, some people may not agree, but I feel like it adds a level of depth that I really appreciated to this. So pros in generally, really pleasant 3D, made the experience pleasant. And honestly, I played this way longer than I planned to, just getting sucked into it because of that. So, and I think next time I play, I'll throw on a shader to help make sure those cutscenes don't flux a little, and then keep playing it that way, because it just felt better playing it this way. Cons are, it's not gonna blast wow you. You're not gonna be like, oh my gosh. When I say pleasant, that generally means that it's not knocking your socks off, but it really enhances the vibe of the game for the most part. So I think I'm gonna go rate it. I'm gonna rate this probably. I think we're at a boss scene, so we can. Yeah, there we go. We get to see a boss dude, right? Again, not knocking my socks off completely, but pleasant. If I'm gonna rate this, I'm gonna give it an A tier. I know that might be controversial. This is probably the more controversial one, so maybe my bias inflects this rating a little bit, but I really enjoyed this, and I think that's the only way I want to play this game now. So that, for me, that's an A tier. A tier is you don't want to play it a different way. Maybe it doesn't hit the full maximum value it could be, but it's really enjoyable. So I'm going to stick with A tier.